So the first quarter of every year is probably one of the busiest times for the HR department as they start compiling the WSP ATRs for their business. Look, the due date for the WSP ATR submissions annually for the various SETAs sits around the 30th of April every year. And while that might seem quite far away, there is a lot that needs to be done in that timeline. So, to take the sting out of it, we've come up with a couple of recommendations that might help you with the process leading up to the submission time. So there's one overreaching principle that guides everything else, right? And that is, do not try and rush the process. Now, keeping that in mind, obviously the first recommendation is that the sooner you start, the better off you'll be. Now, the reporting period for the various SETAs will vary either between the 1st of April to the 31st of March each year, or the 1st of January to the 31st of December each year. Now, bearing that in mind, take the time to make sure that you prepare well enough and that you are aware when those periods are. So call your SETA to confirm which reporting period do you fall under. So next up, you need to identify who your skills development facilitator is within the organization. Now, this might be someone that works for the company as an employee, or it could be an external SDF that acts on behalf of the organization with the SETA. So the second recommendation is to ensure that your SDF attends the various SETA roadshows. Now, these roadshows are typically held about a month or two prior to the submission of the WSP ATR. And the platform allows for a lot of information sharing and asking questions. So very important to attend these sessions to ensure that you are up to date on when the system opens, how the process works, and what is the relevant information that needs to be captured for the report. Our next recommendation is that your SDF download or request a copy of the relevant SETA's mandatory grant processing guidelines. Now, this will provide you a step-by-step guideline in terms of how to submit your WSP and what during the process to expect of each of the steps. Next up, make sure that your SDF meets with your finance department. This is important because there's information that they would require from your finance managers, such as your proof of banking details, and more importantly, any training related expenses for you to report on in your annual training report. Now to get into the nitty-gritty of the actual training requirements. Right. Now, one must note that your SDF can't do this alone, right? This is going to be a consultation process between them, the HR departments, the line managers, and the relevant employees, where they will ask for any training registers that were conducted during the reporting period for purposes of reporting. They will then also require information for what is planned for the New Year's training, so that they can consolidate in the different reports that are required to be submitted. To accommodate this, you need to have finalized all your planning, including your planned training for the new year, whether this training will be company funded or SETA funded training, your pivotal training. This includes your learnerships and your skills programs, or typically your credit bearing courses, as well as then your non-pivotal training courses such as short courses, any in-house training such as customer service or computer training, for example. And then finally, if you are doing learnerships, you will need to have all the details of your learners. Now, this will be for your annual training report, so which means in the current year of reporting, but also need to identify, if you want to run learnerships in your planned training, that you provide the details of the learners that you are looking to put on the learnership. Now, this is not set in stone, and those learner names can be changed, but it is a requirement from the SETA to report on that information. When the draft is finally approved, the SDF will need to send the report to management for sign-off, right? Once the document is signed off, the SDF will have to upload the signed documents and report onto the CETA system and click the Submit WSP ATR button on the system. And then finally, once the WSP ATR is submitted, the SDF will have to wait for it to be approved from the CETA system. Right? Now, if the CETA have any queries on the WSP, they will contact the SDF to rectify any queries that they might have. If they are happy with it, they will submit a letter to state that the WSP ATR has been approved on the system. So those are our top recommendations. It's a lot of information to take in, so please feel free to give us a call. We'll set up a consultation on how we can assist you with your SDF department or the submissions of your WSP ATRs. Also, don't forget to have a look at the discussion we had last month where we spoke about how you could benefit from your mandatory grants and your discretionary grants, as well as the Section 12H of the Income Tax Act, to implement a zero training cost initiative in your business. So that's it for this month. Keep an eye out on our social media for what's soon to be coming in next month.